Hey my dear data friends, it's Nicola from Data Mozart. Have you ever been to a theater? Oh, silly me, of course you have. So you know in theater that we have multiple actors playing different roles. Or sometimes we also can have one actor that appears in multiple different roles. So in this video I want to show you how this analogy of the theater can be applied and implemented in Power BI by using the feature called role-playing dimensions. This is one of the key features to understand when designing your Power BI semantic models. So I hope you will enjoy this video and find it very useful for enhancing your Power BI data modeling skill set. Stay tuned! Have you ever been to a theater? When I heard the term role-playing dimensions for the first time, my first association was theater, probably because of the words role and playing. And I still like to think about role-playing dimensions that way. You know those performances when one actor or actress transforms themselves and gets into multiple different characters. Yes, the actor in our data modeling show is a dimension table, while characters are multiple columns from the fact table. And as in real theater, where you can hire two actors and each of them plays a single role, you may also rely on one actor to cover both roles. Before I show you how this story about actors and roles reflects in the data modeling world, I'd like to emphasize that the role-playing dimension is not a concept exclusively related to Power BI. It's a universal data modeling technique that comes from Kimball's methodology and dimensional modeling. Simply said, it's the situation when you use one same dimension for creating multiple relationships to your fact table. Typical usage of role-playing dimension concept is with date dimension, as in many cases your fact table will contain multiple date fields. For example, in the sales table, there are fields order date, ship date and due date, which don't need to be identical, and in most cases are not. Although the role-playing dimension concept is not exclusively related to Power BI, there are certain nuances for its implementation in Power BI models. One of them is the special DAX function, USERELATIONSHIP. First of all, Power BI allows for the creation of multiple relationships between two tables in the model, but only one relationship can be active at a time. In some scenarios, you want to switch active relationships, and that's where the USERELATIONSHIP function comes to the rescue. It allows for activating the inactive relationship just for the specific calculation. Keep in mind that if you apply row level security on the table, USERELATIONSHIP function can't be used. I'm in the Power BI desktop and I've added a dim date table to my data model. As you may notice, this table is currently not connected to any of the tables in the model. This is because we have three different date columns in our fact internet sales table, and Power BI doesn't know which of these columns we want to use as a default relationship. Let's first examine the scenario when the dim date table plays different roles for each of the date columns in the fact table. I'll first create a relationship between the dim date and fact internet sales on the order date column. Then let's move to Power Query and create two duplicates of the dim date table. I'll rename these three tables to dim date order, dim date due and dim date ship, so we know which column from the fact table should be used in the relationship. Basically, we have three copies of the same table in our data model now. Let's hit close and apply and load these tables in the model. I'll now create a relationship between the dim date due and fact internet sales table on the due date column. And finally, I'll establish the relationship between the dim date ship and the fact internet sales table on the ship date column. With this approach, we have multiple copies of the same table, but each of them plays a different role in the model. Let me now show you a different approach to a role-playing dimension challenge. I'll first delete dim date ship and dim date due tables from the model. Next, I'll leverage the existing dim date order table to create two additional relationships to my fact internet sales table. As you see, we have three relationships now, but two of them are displayed with a dashed line. This means that the relationship is inactive. Don't forget that Power BI allows for only one relationship at a time to be active. In our case, This is the relationship on the order date column. So all the calculations will, by default, use this relationship to propagate filters. Let me create a basic measure sales amount order date, which represents a simple sum of the sales amount from the fact internet sales table. Next, I'll rename my dim date order to dim date, since now this single table will play multiple roles in the model. Then I'll create another DAX measure called sales amount ship date. In this calculation, I'm changing the default behavior and I want to activate the inactive relationship on the ship date column. Let's finally create the measure with the same logic, but to activate the inactive relationship on the due date column. Fine, let me now show how these three calculations behave differently in the report visual. Let's say that we want to analyze sales amount for every single calendar date, but from different perspectives. The perspective of the order date, ship date, and due date. Sales amount order date leverages the default active relationship. Sales amount due date activates the inactive relationship the same as the sales amount ship date. As you may see, the numbers are different based on the different filters applied through relationships. That's all, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something useful and helpful for your Power BI data modeling skill set. If you like this video, make sure to click this like button down below. Also, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Microsoft Fabric and Power BI features and concepts, make sure to subscribe to Data Mozart YouTube channel. See you soon!